Welcome everybody to Taste Every Gaming News. What's in the news today? After 3 years of hands off, Microsoft's going to get hands on with ZeniMax and Bethesda. So, as you may or may not heard, there's been a whole reorganization happening over at Microsoft. So Phil Spencer, the CEO, has made Matt Booty the president of game content and studios. So he's the head honcho's underling. And it appears that they are going to be putting more of a hands-on approach to their developers. And as we have seen with Redfall, as an example, not to kick that piss poor horse while it's down, that is a reason they have to be more hands-on. They really need it. So Microsoft CEO Phil Spencer said that he is making Matt Booty the president of games content and studios. And that role will put him in charge of ZeniMax and its subsidiary studios, including Bethesda Softworks. ZeniMax will continue to operate as a limited integration entity led by Jamie Letter, who's the president and CEO, who reports to Matt Booty. Spencer wrote, all ZeniMax development studios and ZeniMax central services teams will continue reporting to Jamie to maintain and optimize current content development and production cycles. Also, to deepen our partnership and accelerate mutual learning, a number of ZeniMax leaders will now report to those Microsoft leaders with whom they work, closely with. Phil Spencer didn't mention by name, but there's a lot going on over there. The Arcane Studios, they released the Redfall. God, brain farts. I try to take it out of my mind, and it was abysmal. The game was broken. It was crap. It was completely out of their repertoire. As far as that type of gameplay and cooperative and multiplayer and all that stuff. So I can understand having a few quirks, but that game was broke. Just BROKE, broke. So with this new restructuring at Microsoft, and it wasn't just Booty that got promoted. There was a lot of things happening, moving around and so on and so forth. So hopefully their goal is to quit letting Redfall happen with their other developments. So I personally think it's a good thing, but let's find out what Nick and his awesome Power shirt has to think about that. Nick, what do you and Powers think about it?
Well, this is not Powers. But
that's
it's McKean.
Yes, I always call her Powers. I think Pat does the same thing too.
Yeah. Hopefully I said her name right, but probably not.
Yeah, probably not, but that's all right.
Bad. I'm bad with those names. But anyway, close enough. It's from the same anime, so that works. Yeah, this is good. I mean, about time. We've talked about it before, and it's about time that Microsoft got hands-on, because clearly, I mean, no one likes micromanagement, and most of the time we hate when companies are hands-on or so deeply invested in their developers and stuff. Most of the time we're shouting from the rooftops, just let them do their thing. But in Microsoft's case, they clearly need someone overlooking things, overseeing things. They've had too many releases coming from their first parties after buying them that have been middle of the road, right, to bad. Right? Redfall being bad, Starfield being middle of the road, right? And so I think they really need, I don't know if they could have done anything for Starfield per se, but for future games, they really need somebody to make sure that quality, or the quality and standards that they would expect their games to come out on, are met, right? Hopefully with this restructuring, they'll be able to put in some, ideas to how they want things to be, right? Some key, like you have to achieve these milestones in order for your game to be released type of thing. And if they don't, we need to go back to the drawing board and make sure that these, certain things are met. These milestones are met. Because as far as the quality, goes, Sony is blowing them out of water when it comes to quality games, right? We may or may not like every game that first party game that comes to Sony's platform, but we can't deny the fact that they are high quality, right? I mean, those turds are shining, blinding your eyes. They are so good, right? In that aspect. I mean, Sony, I don't know how Sony manages their studios, right? Whether it's hands-on or hands-off. I'm assuming they're somewhat hands-on with them because they've, every first party game that comes out to Sony's platform always seems to be at a certain point in the quality department, right? They may not all match on the same level of quality, but the quality is there on every game. Some form. It seems like there's some sort of level of quality. So they really need to do that. And so hopefully with this, they won't be overbearing to the development groups, but they'll be able to hopefully point them, direct them in the right direction to make sure that the game that they come out with or games that they come out with meet a standard that's going to be good for Microsoft, good for Xbox, but most of all, it's going to be good for us gamers, right? We want to see high quality games that match up. We want to be excited when new games come from first party developers to any platform, right? And in this case with Xbox, we're excited when a Sony first party comes, but when an Xbox One and Microsoft first party comes to Xbox, we're kind of like, I guess we'll see how this turns out, right? We're always kind of on the fence until it comes out. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's like, they tried. So yeah. So, I mean, Matt Booty, yeah, it's, that'll be good for Mr. Booty. And then Sarah Bond also moved up to president or to, not president, I'm sorry, president of Xbox, where Matt Booty is president of game content and studios. So good for them. And I think some other people reorganized, kind of moved up and around and stuff like that. But, in a lot of those Xbox shows and stuff that they put on sometimes, usually Sarah Bond and Matt Booty are usually in them. So those should be two names that you're familiar with besides Phil Spencer, if you follow gaming and Xbox and stuff like that. So this is good. Good. I hope it works out for them. Fingers crossed. Hope it works out.
Well, the concern I have is like you said at the beginning, yeah, Microsoft doesn't always make the best decisions. Hint, their example, their naming conventions. Just throwing that out there. I don't know enough about Matt Booty, but I do know that yes, there needs to be some sort of, hey, how are things going kind of process on their development. But Microsoft does not, like I said, they don't make the best decisions sometimes. Now, Phil Spencer has done an amazing job, but even under Phil, Microsoft still has issues. So hopefully that they will offer more guidance than direction. I don't want to see Matt Booty be like, let's say, for example, Redfall, which is a game that needed somebody to say, no, this is bad, David. No. So they need that. So if I was Matt Booty, I would have, went in there and, at periodic times of development. Hey guys, how's it going? What you thinking? How you feel? Blah, blah, blah. So, but without going in there saying, yeah, that looks like shit. We need to fix this. That, there's got to be a fine line between direction and guidance. And I just don't want the wrong people telling those developers, because they bought great developers. I don't know why they have so many problems, but they've got great developers. They just, they're just not having those hits that that they were purchased for. So, but maybe they will get that approach of guidance direction down, hopefully quick, because they've got a lot of studios now, a lot. So,
right. And they need to manage those in some form or fashion. They can't let them all be free range chickens. They gotta make sure they're doing chicken. What they need to do.
I like chicken.
And Redfall had a lot of development issues, from the get-go. And I think we had talked about it before, but Redfall, the development team, didn't have any sort of direction. And it seemed like the game was pretty much bad to begin with, right? It just didn't have any start, finish. It didn't know where it was going and never did, right?
Yep. They had a concept, but no ideal of how they were going to perform everything they wanted.
Right. And it's great that they're trying to fix it, I guess. But I mean, they released a patch not too long ago that added the 60 frame per second mode and fixed a lot of the bugs and performance issues. But I think it's a little late. I don't think that helped the numbers of players in that game. So that game is pretty much dead in the water. And this is what I'm talking about. And what we've talked about before with games that, and primarily with games that release in some sort of poor state, right? By the time you get around, not to say that the developer couldn't fix it, not to say that Arcane can't fix Redfall, but by the time you get around to fixing Redfall is old news, right? And Redfall, then you could fix it, and it's like, people could come back 2 years later and go, it's a great game, but nobody's going to play it because first impressions make everything. And if you don't have something that knocks, games come out too much nowadays. They come out too often. And unless you're one of those people that just play a game here and there, if you're like us that play games all the damn time, you got to make sure that quality's there, and you've got to make sure, and it makes your platform relevant too, especially for Xbox in this case, right? Right now, I love Xbox. I love all the consoles, but as of right now, Xbox, besides the console itself, with the game releases that have primarily come from first party to it, I haven't been as impressed with what's come to Xbox as I have with what's come to Sony. And I'm waiting for that killer app and those killer apps, right? Because Sony's had a lot of hits and Xbox is not. And it's like your besides Game Pass, your Xbox is becoming irrelevant. And that's a problem, right? And so you need to have those hits come out there. Yes, they'll come to PC too, but for the people that have Xboxes and stuff, they need a reason to still own it, right? Otherwise, they might just be like, well, I'll go buy a PlayStation and maybe my computer can play whatever game comes out, right? Because it's going to come there too if I want to play those, or I can get Game Pass for PC and play them on there if I want to do that. Right. And they won't have a reason to buy an Xbox, right? Give your consumers a reason. And hopefully with this restructuring that brings out higher quality games that give those who want to purchase an Xbox or those who already own an Xbox happy that they've made that purchase.
Yeah. Microsoft is like a really decent pizza and somebody just randomly throws crap on it. They have something there. They just can't quite get it just right. But I think they're on their way, because I think Starfield is a solid game. It is middle of the road. It's not a bad game. It can be very fun. Mm-hmm. A lot of games can be very fun. That doesn't make them great. Great games are what Sony, they don't put out a lot, but their first party studios, when they put one out, you can almost guarantee it's top tier game, even if it's not in your wheelhouse of typical games.
Right. We talked about Spider-Man. We reviewed Spider-Man, and for me and Pat, that was not in our wheelhouses for some reason. Like, Pat really enjoyed the Miles Morales and the original Spider-Man on PS4. He just couldn't get into this one for some reason. But we both, and for me, I was the same way. But for both of us, it wasn't like, oh, this game's trash or we don't like it or blah, blah, blah. It was, this game is good. Like the quality's there graphically, functionally, performancely, everything, right? It's all there. For us, it just didn't hit the spot, right? The spider spot. We didn't get the Peter tingle from it, but that's okay because not every game is going to match up to everybody, but you can tell as a gamer and as a consumer that even though the game may not be for you, you can tell by looking at it or playing some segments of it or whatever that, okay, this game's really not for me, but I can tell they put a lot of quality work into it. And I can appreciate that they've done a really good job with what they did.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely agree. It's just, they're working on it, but I don't know how much more patience their diehard fan base is going to have. So, but it seems like they're starting to make those strides and they're starting to get those directions down. So hopefully this is another step in the right direction. But you got anything else on Sony here or on Microsoft?
Nope. Just start bringing out those bangers. That's all I have to say. Let's get Halo or not Halo, Gears 6. I'm ready for Gears 6.
I think, and I'm going to put this out there now, I don't believe there will be a Gears 6. I believe it will be Gears of War title here. I don't think they're continuing.
Oh, you think it's going to be like like a subtitle under it or something?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to continue the naming convention.
I mean, they got to continue the story though.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you have to say 6. That means that it could say.
Well, okay, I'm ready for the next Gears, whatever the hell it is, because I loved 5. 5 I thought was great, and
yep, Gears of War.
We haven't seen anything that good on Xbox since then, right?
No,
I mean, I thought
Gears
of War 5 was like, that was quality. That game was really good, but also great quality, and they haven't come out with anything that's matched that level since.
No,
for Xbox.
And I think Microsoft knows and understands that. And I think the people that did the storylines, the gameplay, the controls, all that, I think they probably having them give advice out to some of the other departments, because the game was just top notch, period, bar none. That game was on the PlayStation equivalent of quality. Plain and simple. So, and they need more of that, like you said. So, but anyways, speaking of more of that, we need more of those likes. We need more of those shares. We need more of those subscribes. But let us know what you think. Do you think Microsoft is actually moving in the right direction? Or do you think, well, it's just another rotation of buttholes and, trying to just drag this thing out? What do you think? How do you feel about it? And let us know in the comments. But until next time, see ya.